again, it's so amazing that students were really starting to mobilize. So as a result of this suspension of students, every time the students got arrested or they were suspended, they responded by calling another demonstration to protest the repression, and more students came. Next. So they called a strike to protest the police presence on campus, and they asked for the reinstatement of the suspended students, the abolition of ROTC, reinstatement of the college editors, reinstatement of the newspaper, and this was a continual cry at City College in the 1930s. Keep the police off campus. As a matter of fact, I think they used to do it as a slogan, police off campus. And so this was attended by many students, and some of the suspended students did get reinstated. But this was a constant repetition at City College in the 30s. Student protests, police arrests, disciplinary hearings involving hundreds of students, suspensions and expulsions of students during the reign of President Robinson. This lasted until 1938. Next. So here's the National Magazine cover of the monthly magazine of the National Student League, and it's called the Student Review. And so again, City College goes national, and this is a cartoon of President Robinson in his cap and gown, which he always wore to the military drill, and his tail is being wagged by Academy Hall, and in the background is City College. Next. So this is the infamous, maybe the most infamous event at City College. There was a delegation of about 100 young fascists that were official representatives of Mussolini's Italy that were touring colleges in the country, but I think in most places they were very low-key events and they reached City College. President Robinson was so excited that the young fascists were going to come visit that at the mandatory freshman assemblies, which were in Great Hall, he decided to invite the young fascists as honored guests. And of course, the students were very upset. They said no, they wanted to have their own meeting, their own demonstration, and President Robinson prevented it from happening. So, the young fascists, all the freshmen and maybe other students were there in the assembly, which is like maybe at least 1,000 students. I think maybe 2,000. Great Hall is a very big assembly hall. It's still there today. And the young fascists come on stage, and the students sort of begin, there's a scuffle, and the students sort of begin stamping their feet, and the young Italian fascists get very frightened, and they run off the stage, and President Robinson yells at the officers, said, "You students, you don't even know how to behave. You are nothing but a bunch of gutter snipes." And so if you look at my exhibit online, there's this presentation is a real exhibit. These are just some images from my exhibit. And if you look at the exhibit online, you'll see a button, and it says, "I am a gutter snipe. I fight fascism." 2,000 students wore that button for this demonstration. They had a strike about the students that were expelled, and they wanted them to be reinstated, and of course they wanted the president to be ousted. So this is an amazing flyer, because on one side is President, on your left-hand side is President Robinson with his academic cap, and in his lapel there's a swastika, and he's holding his infamous umbrella. And on the other side is Mussolini. It's a double-headed effigy, Mussolini, with the swastika in his lapel holding his hatchet. So they had a mass demonstration that day around the flagpole. 2,000 students were there wearing the button, and that button is in the archives at NYU. Okay, next.
The archives at NYU?
NYU, it's not there yet.
Yes.
I found it at New York University, the private college. So this is another image from this demonstration, which, believe me, made national news, especially because of the Hearst Press. who had articles about it all over the country, and in those articles he labeled City College the Little Red Schoolhouse, and the name stuck. So this is a photo from that demonstration, and this is a papier-mâché image. One side you see Robinson, the other side Mussolini, and after the demonstration was over, they set this papier-mâché effigy on fire. So they were a little wild. But it did make newsreels throughout the country. Next. So this is a cartoon from the New Masses, and President Robinson had actually published sort of an autobiographical article in True Story, which is sort of a popular women's magazine, sort of lowbrow. And he's suppressing the student council and all the student newspapers, which of course he did in reality. And there again is the swastika, which of course was used very much in the 1930s by the left to sort of identify all right-wing forces. But here's Robinson. Okay, next. Maybe this is my prize photo. A man named Milton Lashinsky saw my exhibit online. You can see my exhibit online with all the images, and he said, please, I saved this photo for 70 years, and I want you to put it in the exhibit. Wow. Milton Lashinsky is the guy in the middle with glasses. He's 16 years old. These are his friends. They're all 16 and 17. He identified them in the back. And they had been arrested for picketing the house of President Robinson after the incident of the young fascists coming. So here he is outside the court, and he said, this was my most glorious moment at City College. So here's to you, Milton Lashinsky. I think hopefully he's somewhere in Baltimore. Next. And anybody here who knows it, who was involved in City College in the 30s or had relatives at City College in the 30s. So you probably know that this is a graphic from the yearbook of the infamous alcoves. And the alcoves also did go down in history of City College because this is sort of the cafeteria where the poor students brought their lunches to eat lunch. And I think it was table number 1 where the followers of Leon Trotsky ate their lunch, and table number 2 was where the young communists ate their lunch. And they continually had ideological discussions and arguments of the nature of socialism in the Soviet Union, and they said those discussions went on for hours and days and weeks. And so here's I think it's table number 2 where the young communists were discussing among themselves. So there's a whole panel about the archives in the exhibit. Next. So in 1935, remember I told you about the National Student League, which sort of organized a lot of activities. And in 1934, the National Student League organized the first national anti-war march. You have to remember that the students were very well, in general, there was a strong pacifist sentiment throughout the country, and especially among college students, because they were just one generation removed from World War I, and they saw that war as a war fought for the interests of big business and greed, and they never wanted to participate in any kind of foreign wars because of the example of World War I, which had left so many millions of people killed. So in the end of 1935, the National Student League merged with the Socialist Student Organization. So it was a coalition of communist students, socialist students, with a very, very broad base of liberal students. And they were established in December 1935. And the American Student League at City College actually had 4 chapters, a day chapter, an evening chapter, and the downtown City College had a day and evening chapter. But I have to tell you a secret, the largest chapter in the country was at Brooklyn College, not City College. So in New York the American Student Union was really throughout the country. They had hundreds of chapters in high schools and colleges throughout the country, including some black colleges in the South, including Berkeley. They were, again, against racism. They had projects to fight racism. They were for solidarity with the working class. They went out on sympathy demonstrations when there were workers on strike in New York. They were opposed to militarism. They were for equal educational opportunities. They fought for free speech on campus for faculty and students. But I think the two main campaigns they had during the 30s were anti-militarism, and also they fought for increased federal aid for students under the New Deal.